Some think I tell my story so others will feel sorry for me, but the last thing I want is sympathy. I talk about my past as a celebration of overcoming obstacles, and to show people that if I can do it, they can do it. I did 12 years in prison because of foolish actions, and 8 of that was spent in solitary confinement, or ADSEG, at the Colorado State Penitentiary, where National Geographic did a documentary on. A full understanding can't really be had without seeing their video, but it's basically doing time in a bathroom-sized cell without any sunlight or human contact for years at a time. The first 6 months were the toughest. I would have panic attacks and the walls would be closing in on me, but eventually I got used to it, and that's when the real problems began to manifest themselves. My routine was simple. I'd get up every single day and I would study for 4 or 5 hours to keep the mind active. I had to meditate every day to try to control my anxiety, and I exercise like a madman for 2 hours a day. ADSEG gives us way too much time to think, so it becomes necessary for sanity's sake to exercise your mind and body and learn how to control your anxiety through meditation or other means. Every single basic necessity is controlled absolutely by the guards, and absolute power absolutely corrupts. It almost became a fight every day just to get toilet paper, and that breeds deep-rooted hostility that most could never overcome. My friend Evan Ebel is a good example of that. His anger won out. When he was released, he killed a pizza delivery guy just to get the uniform so he could kill Tom Clements. With too much time to think, you release a relentless internal attack. Not to mention, now you're forced to face all the demons you've been avoiding your whole life. I started to hate myself and thought the answer lied in trying to become the person that society wanted me to be. That is, until I realized that person doesn't even exist, and it was impossible for me to even try it. I started to study individualism and learn more about myself, which was very beneficial. Even with all the positive things I was doing, the meditation, the exercise, education, and deep introspection, I still was developing some serious psychological issues. Every day we need 15 minutes of sunlight, but I just gone 8 years without. Towards the end, I was breaking out in cold sweats every day, until my first day out in the sun, and it immediately stopped. I was having homicidal nightmares for years, and I was completely consumed with rage. Anxiety eventually turns into OCD, and my mind was completely obsessed with not only cleanliness, but just anything I was thinking about, I couldn't get my mind off of it. Prior to ADSEG, I was a very social person, and now I really just don't like being around people. I feel very uncomfortable in most social situations, and I think this is a permanent issue that I'm just going to have to deal with. I'm actually suing the Department of Corrections right now based on 2 major issues. Number 1, their psychologist diagnosed me as having bipolar disorder towards the beginning of my stay in ADSEG. Yet, ADSEG is known to exacerbate the symptoms of mental illnesses such as bipolar disorder. So they basically put me in an environment that they knew would make me worse just to release me, hoping I would come back and increase their job security. The second issue was when they put me in a strip cell for 24 hours. That's a cold cell without any clothing or bedding, no hygiene, nothing. I was shackled for the first 4 hours and still had to exercise to keep warm. My ankles were bleeding all over the place. And then they introduced sleep deprivation techniques. By keeping it so cold and forcing me to exercise, I couldn't lay down to sleep. And they kept the lights on all night. The cell had somebody's pukes dried on the floor, and same with piss stains. At one point, I had to take a bowel movement, and they refused to give me toilet paper. So I was stuck with human feces all over myself, and they wouldn't give me soap to clean myself up. Then I was forced to eat 2 meals like that with my hands because they wouldn't give me utensils. The Colorado Federal District Court ruled that I didn't go through the 24 hours of torture wasn't enough to be considered an 8th Amendment violation. But I was pretty sure as an American that any period of torture isn't right. I'm currently appealing that decision in the 10th Circuit Federal Court and should win because that decision was so ridiculous. In fact, my friend Troy Anderson just won on similar issues, so it's nothing that I'm really concerned with. In the meantime, I'm just focused on building my real estate investment company and helping people become the best that they can be and learn from my mistakes. I have all the same anger that Evan Ebel had, but I choose it to fuel my progress because the best revenge for me is to succeed. They want me to come back to prison. They want me to self-destruct so they can portray me in the media as some type of monster. But I won't give them that. I'm going to succeed despite every effort that they made to break me.